Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Claudia Post, and of course, we had a technical glitch, which is precluding us from doing the split screen. But if you go to the section called Handouts, you will be able to download my presentation and follow along. Although you may not be able to see me, but it's more important that you see the presentation. Again, go to the section called Handouts, download the presentation, and follow along as I'm going to begin. My name is Claudia Post, and I've been, as I like to say, a transportation dog for a long time. A little bit of background about me. I started a delivery service a long time ago, and I started with 4 people at my dining room table and wound up with 12 warehouses in up and down the East Coast, as far south as South Carolina. And we did everything from trucking, that could be, long haul trucking, short distance trucking, courier, pick, pack, ship, and everything in between. And kitting. Everybody know what kitting is? That means you're putting stuff together, you're making the kit and getting it ready to get out the door. What I've found in the cannabis industry, and after all, I've been now in cannabis going on 13 years. So I like to think of myself as sort of a unicorn in that few people have a transportation background like I do, and of course, a cannabis background for 12 years. So it's an untraditional business. Everybody thought I was crazy when I said I was getting into cannabis. They said, "You're crazy." I'm sure your friends told you too. But now they say, "Oh, you're a genius," of course. So all the geniuses in the audience, I'm happy that you're here. And so today we're going to talk about supply chain. We're going to talk about transportation. On your P&L, that could be a very blind item if you really don't know, but it becomes a big number if you don't really know what you're doing in terms of import, export, over the road, local trucking, or whatever it is that you require. And understanding how to negotiate those rates is also a very important key to what we're going to talk about today. So in my presentation, and again, I hope you've all downloaded it, transportation is not sexy. Standing on a loading dock is not sexy. Understanding how to load an igloo that goes in the belly of a plane is not sexy. But I did all of that and did deliveries, so I understand this from the ground up. I'm just not another pretty face in Tinseltown here. I am a real transportation person. So I'm bringing this knowledge to the cannabis space. I am consulting with others to try to figure out getting the best rates inbound, ocean. I still have very, very deep connections into the industry. I'm very fortunate. I've been on every transportation trade association board that there is. So there are very few people that I don't know and don't know me, which also leads to the ability to get good rates for people and explain how to read the rate. So if you get a Fedex as an example, you're going to get a rate sheet from a Fedex, and it's going to go across and it's going to say your discount. But I always say to people, it's your discount off of what? You don't know what that first number was. So I could be paying less than you, and he or she could be paying less than I am. So that's all dictated by number of shipments. I'm going to go to FedEx. And by the way, FedEx and UPS, I just posted to my LinkedIn this morning, FedEx and UPS are at it again. Big raises because you know what's going on in supply chain. I will tell you that I've always talked about infrastructure and supply chain. I guess it's because I love to put those puzzles together. And the other night I went into the supermarket and I was dumbfounded. There's nothing on the shelves. So, people, why isn't there anything on the shelves? Because the supply chain is being disrupted. That means that there aren't people out there picking, packing, shipping, and then the truck. You can't find drivers today. It's very, very difficult. And fortunately, like I say, I've got great relationships with people who do have drivers, and I can help recruit drivers as well. But the point of the matter is the supply chain is being disrupted. And I'm not Debbie Downer, but I'm going to tell you there's going to be some shortages, heavy duty shortages because of the supply chain coming up in fourth quarter. So transportation is air. Of course, you understand that. And air could be air freight. It could be like a FedEx or UPS. Ocean freight could be like, obviously, on the ocean in containers, and there are different size containers. I can't get into the granularity of all of this because I have a limited amount of time to speak with you today. I'm just hitting the highlights of transportation, and I would entertain speaking with you. I'd love it if you contact me. I'm a big networker, and that's how I've made friends all these years. So if you have any questions about which freight forwarder to use, how do you work with a freight forwarder? What exactly does a freight forwarder do? Can you provide your own transit, or do you only have to go through the freight forwarder? Lots and lots and lots of questions here. Now, we're going to go to ground. I'm a ground person, basically. My companies up and down the East Coast, like I say, were warehouses, tractor trailers, etc. So there's Courier, which you all know. And when I started out, they were guys and gals in spandex on bikes, zooming up and down the streets, and driver work. That could be same day. And I always say to people, oh, do you want it same day? Do you want it in 3 hours? Do you want it in 2 hours? Now, everybody's definition of same day is different. My definition of same day, time critical delivery, is 1 hour from the time of the call to the time of the delivery. And of course, we have all that track and trace technology. So we have courier, we have trucking, also very interesting. I was very excited when I got my first Hino truck, and I have a picture of me getting into the cab. And rail. Of course, I don't own a railway, but give me time. Anyway, understand what all these things are. Now, how is shipping cost determined? So, of course, it depends on the mode of transportation. If you wanted, we used to do gift of life. Gift of life is the transport of the harvest of an organ that is picked up at the airport, taken immediately to the operatory to save someone's life. That could be an eyeball, a kidney, or whatever organ it was. We had to be at that airport to pick up that part, if you will, that with reverence I say, because if your mother, your daughter, your wife is on an operating table, you want to make sure that the courier that you're using is responsible, communicative, has a keen sense of urgency, and a high level of detail. So picking up a heart, taking it to an operatory was what I would call time critical delivery. At any rate, so there was an upcharge for that. Now, if you just flew in freight that sat in the belly of the plane, it's a different, obviously, fee. Now we have all the TSA and all the, things that we have to go through, not only you as a passenger, but imagine putting freight in the belly of the plane. So we have to be careful, of course, about that too. So it all goes to weight. Could be weight, size, distance, and what are we transporting? Are we transporting something that's placarded, meaning it could be flammable? Or are we just transporting clothing or something? It all depends and all feeds into the rate. These are questions that if you are working with a good salesperson, they will ask you these questions in what I like to call discovery. What are you shipping? Where's it going? Where is it being picked up? Where is it being dropped off? Does it have to arrive at a certain time? Et cetera, et cetera. So I talked a little bit about imports, and that it is a different uh, platform, if you will, of transportation. So most of the time, I would recommend a customs broker. And what is a customs broker? A customs broker assists importers and exporters in meeting the government guidelines around import export. So there are lots and lots of companies out there, dare I say, hundreds. And for instance, I was speaking with someone the other day and they had freight in China. And I said, well, who are you using as your freight forwarder? Well, the guy in China's got a friend. And blah, blah. I said, stop. I have nothing against the Chinese or any other ethnicity, but I know that this is called a bottleneck like no other. The answering of the phone, the giving of information is like pulling your hair out. My hair would go straight dealing with that. So you really want somebody who's your advocate to work with those folks on the other end. I don't care if they're in Amsterdam or in France, wherever they are. You want that knowledgeable group to work with your team, your transportation team, to make sure that your transit of your goods is on time, arrives when it's supposed to, gets cleared with no headache. Okay. We want to always deal with a licensed customs broker. There is a society just like we had in transportation. It's the good housekeeping stamp of the champ. And you also want to make sure that you have your pricing in a contract form. You don't want to say, okay, well, this, that, and the other, because they can add on accessorial charges that would drive up your bill substantially. Accessorial charges are like waiting time when there wasn't any waiting time, just a whole bunch of other things. As I say, if you want to talk to me about this, I can get into more depth. And what I would also suggest is that you also find customs brokers who have multiple offices around the country. So, which is, they have to be, sort of near a port to offload the freight. Okay, that's customs broker. It's a little herky jerky because I was going to have a split screen, but somehow or other, it's just like if I touch a copier, it breaks. My presentation is wherever it is. I hope you have it. Okay, so how to choose a carrier. Now, people confuse the word courier and carrier. A carrier can be a trucking company. Obviously, a courier is somebody, is a same day delivery person in my dictionary. Okay. So some of the questions you want to ask them are, well, I would want to know, are they insured? How much is each shipment insured for? If there's a claim, what is the claims process? Now, there are tons of laws around claims, and really, I don't want to tell you a story about me, but I had a tractor trailer going up 95 of Sony televisions. And lo and behold, they stopped at a rest stop and they were held up. Now, if I didn't have the right insurance, I'd be in the poorhouse somewhere, okay? But immediately I knew what to do, where to go, who my broker was, insurance broker, and I took care of everything. Not that it wasn't painful, mind you. Most importantly, my folks were not hurt, and that is the most important thing to me. So anyway, I'm full of stories, and here they are. Okay. So anybody you want that you're going to do business with, you want to also ask, what are the discounts, which I started off with, and what are the discounts based off of? What's your rack rate? How does your percentage go of your discounting? So these are questions, obviously, that you want to know. And you also want to have a demo of their technology. If they're cranking up a generator to get things out to you, they're not for you, right? Because you want to be able to track your cargo. Where is it? Just like FedEx, you do the GPS tracking. Okay, so there are many more options. People that don't know will just go FedEx Freight, UPS, but there are so many other options out there and such great freight forwarders, honestly, great trucking companies. And again, I'd be happy to share all of that with you. Now, um, I did touch on the accessorial charges. So, dimensional weight, detention time. Everybody know what detention time is. Detention time means that, for instance, Walmart is notorious for detention time. The trucks come into the yard, right? They're at the cross dock. They are not unloaded right away. They have to sit there. They have to sit there, and they're not going anywhere because it's Walmart, and it's their trailers full of freight. So that is detention time, the time it takes for the tractor trailer to sit there and wait to be offloaded. So these are all accessorial charges. And you must also ask what's included in the rate. I go back again. I cannot impress you with how much insurance is covered. How much insurance is my shipment covered for? What is the charge for additional insurance? And how does that work? Okay. And if you don't have a sales rep, you really should, because if you're doing a lot of work, you need to have somebody with whom you have rapport, not just some, hey, yo, 800 number, whatever. I'm from Philly. That's why I said, hey, yo. Anyway, so I have to laugh now. I did include some vocabulary. How am I running? The first one is deadhead. And Sophia, with whom I work, said, that's not the Grateful Dead. So it is not a deadhead. It is not the deadhead that I'm talking about. A deadhead is picking up your freight and going straight to the recipient, okay? That's a deadhead with nothing coming back. Now, that's costly. So hopefully there would be somebody calling in to the dispatcher to pick up something, like if it was Philly to Newark or Philly to New York, invariably we'd have freight coming back. So we don't like deadheads particularly. I mean, I love Jerry Garcia. What can I say? Anyway, so now the carrier, I explained, demurrage. Okay. So the problem is it's a fee when your cargo exceeds the time allotted sitting in the terminal. So if it's your fault, if it's their fault, there's always a discussion about demurrage. And the detention time I went over. Third-party logistics. Oh, yes, I was a third-party logistics provider. So somebody booked a job with Joe, and Joe farmed it out to me. And that's just how it goes in the industry. But you have to make sure that your partners, your strategic partners, follow the same attention to detail, etc. Please don't be afraid to ask questions. That's why they're there. Okay. Now, a cross dock. Do you know what a cross dock is? Okay. Have you seen like long strips? I mean, if I'm insulting you, I'm sorry, but I lived this world for so long. Cross dock is a long, looks like a strip mall, actually. It's got doors on both sides. And what you do is you pull your trailer in, you back your trailer in, you offload, and there are trucks on the other side to pick up your freight. That is a cross dock situation. Okay. Now, how am I doing? Oh, I've got very few minutes. Okay. You have all of this wonderful information here. Whoa, I just threw myself off. I would like to say thank you very much for coming today. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to field them. Maybe there are no questions. Q&A, no questions. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. If you need any information, feel free to call me.